Anything can happen when you travel, which is why experts recommend travel insurance. 13 on your side's Julia Gorman joins us now with what she learned if you do have a big trip coming up, Julia.
Juliet, if you're like me, you may be wondering if your current regular health insurance covers you on that once-in-a-lifetime trip to Europe. Well, according to the federal government, Medicare and Medicaid do not cover medical costs overseas, and private U.S. insurance companies may not either. Travel insurance can cover that international gap for medical needs, but also lots of other scenarios, whether you leave the country or not. Travel agent for 30 years, Sue Ball, says if you're heading out on a trip anytime soon, consider travel insurance.
Getting a helicopter to Antarctica is not a cheap endeavor. So you're going to want the right coverage to be able to get you out of there if necessary.
Different from trip protection, which she says only applies to the airline or tour company with which you booked. Depending on what coverage you choose, she says travel insurance can be much more comprehensive.
I did have some clients this summer who were affected by the fires in Denali in Alaska. And their policy allowed them to, they completely missed the land portion of their tour. And I was able to rework that and have them go to a different part of Alaska where the fires were not existing. And that was $4,000 more than what they had paid for the original trip, and the insurance covered them for that.
Examples of what could be covered include breaking your arm while walking the romantic cobblestones of Europe, a car accident on the way to the airport, if you were to get sick before your trip and couldn't go, or even if a family member gets sick while you're away and you need to come home. Based on the cost of your trip and your age, the cost for coverage, she says, is likely somewhere between 6 to 12% of your trip.
I recommend that clients actually figure that into when they're budgeting for their trip and figuring out how much they want to spend, that's just something that they need to do. And they put that into their budget cost.
And Julia, when does this type of coverage need to be purchased?
Yeah, Juliet Ball tells me that you want to get this coverage within 14 days of making a deposit of your trip. This way, pre-existing conditions are likely covered with that coverage. It's also a good idea to talk with someone at the company you're going to book with beforehand to make sure you really understand what your coverage provides. Juliet.
Great information. Thank you, Julia.